see, you know?
So,
What are you looking for?
me personally, I'm mostly looking to see how we can define our own tournament meta. That's something that I'm really curious about. What kind of standards we set, what picks we see as usual picks, how we define our own little meta. What about you? What are you looking for?
I mean, I really like what you were talking about there. Like, I'd really love to see our own little meta developing, but I gotta, take a little bit from what we are currently seeing in pro metas. You got your Zinzaos, your Viegos, your Leona Threshes. That's what I like to see. I like to see a lot of scrap. I like to see a lot of fighting, especially in the early game. I'm looking for an explosive game today.
An explosive game already. So, in pro meta, they're usually on 10-15. However, we in SOE, we're on 10-16. What kind of different draft priorities do you expect to see coming out from that?
Well, again, Xin Zhao got a nerf over the patch. Lee Sin was recently nerfed. I think these are really strong early picks. I think that there's still definitely they're definitely pickable. They're still extremely strong, I feel like. But I think it opens up a little bit more for maybe a potential Diana pick, maybe. That would be pretty cool. But I think we're gonna be seeing similar things to last patch. I don't think there was anything extremely meta changing.
Do you think that
Joe,
the
what about you?
Diana nerfs are going to impact her priority as well? Because her damage against non-epic monsters has
True.
decreased from 300 to 250%, which is a sizable nerf. But from what I've seen so far, it doesn't really impact it too much. However, at the highest level, it could lead to some different draft priorities. Do you expect to see any difference?
I mean, look, we all know why we're picking Diana, right? Everyone wants to go in with their Yasuo or like their Oriana. They're gonna press R. The other person gonna press R. They're looking for a massive wombo combo, that kind of thing. I don't think her clear speed is gonna massively affect that because obviously she's gonna be doing less damage to monsters. But I don't know. We'll see. We're gonna have to wait. We're gonna have to see what these guys prioritize and what they want to do.
Have you looked into like either of these two teams?
I've been doing some looking around, and I'm not gonna give away too much, but I think we could see some potential Diana picks and some potential pretty I used the word before, but explosive champions in the Rift today.
Okay, explosive champions is what you're looking for. Explosive games is what we're looking for in general to really hammer home what I said earlier that we're gonna have straight bangers. So for our first two teams, we're gonna be having NSF, which are from the NSG organization, NSG Forsaken, and then we're gonna be having Team Insomnia. Now, Team Insomnia has played together for at least over a month, but there was a little break that they took where one of their players, uh, I believe their jungler, Lapis, decided to role swap to, okay, and as I believe I'm going to be interrupted by going into draft, but we can continue that discussion in draft.
Sounds good.
So one of their players actually played 80 carry for a while, but they found back together 2 or so weeks ago, and now they're here and they're looking to find their comfort within SOE themselves. I
Getting
saw
it.
that the jungler has also managed to pick up a huge champion pool. So I expect to see all the meta junglers and maybe some little sprinkles of spice in there. As we already see the Kane ban, and that is precisely the spice that I had been talking about. The Kane ban is really targeted at that jungle position, and the Camille is targeted obviously towards the top lane.
Straight into the Viego Nar ban from Team Insomnia as well. I think they're really looking to hammer down some of what we would consider to be meta champions. I think that's some really good bans from both sides.
I've seen that both the top laners, so they're both targeting top and jungle here, and I see clearly that these guys have looked at each other's OPGGs at least, and they see the priorities that they take. And then the Nocturne ban comes out. Now, the Nocturne and Kayn are more unusual bans. Camille bans more common sometimes in a best of five series as a small meta develops within a series. But the Kayn and Nocturne are really targeted. Whereas you're saying that the Nara and Viego are sort of more meta bans. They're more trying to enforce a general rule. What about the
And
Yone ban, though?
I mean, I think Yone can be a very strong champion, but I think mostly it's just, Team Insomnia respecting the mid laner from NSG Forsaken,
Mm-hmm.
He's got a couple of games down on the Yone, and I think its team fighting potential is that it's huge.
Ooh, ooh,
The
Ziggs into
Ziggs.
Ashe insta-lock.
Nah.
These guys are so sure about playing Ashe. Wow,
Yeah,
into
I don't
Ziggs?
know.
What do
Maybe
you
maybe
think?
he's played it before, maybe, but yeah, he seems to he was confident right there.
Yeah.
So I'd love to see how he plays this lane out, and maybe he thinks it's a good pick. So I'd love to see what he does.
I have seen him play that Ashe into the Ziggs before, and there was quite a lot of success. Obviously, Ziggs versus Ashe is going to be hugely about who can actually grab lane priority. And what we're seeing in terms of priority in the draft itself is that there's very little jungle priority. A couple of jump bans already thrown towards the jungle. However, neither team has actually picked up something that they're really looking for. So we still have the Lee Sin and the Lee Sin and the Xin Zhao available. Do you expect to see those coming in?
I would love to see them coming in here in the third pick, but I mean, both teams here are really prioritizing their bot laners.
Yeah.
What do you think of this bot lane matchup between the Ziggs Leona and the Ashe Nautilus?
Well, I tend to favor most Ziggs in most lanes as long as people don't have specific tactics to counter that. Ashe having that priority in lane is gonna match up with the priority that Ziggs has in lane. So there's gonna be a bit of a battle between the two. And then the Xin
Yeah.
Zhao. We
That pick
talked
up.
about the Xin Zhao, and here he is.
But what does Red Team respond with? What is Insomnia gonna do here?
Perhaps the Lee Sin. Oh,
Oh,
it's
the
going to be the
Trundle.
Trundle. Now, Trundle is actually something that is extremely good paired up with a Ziggs, but can also function really well against a Ziggs. Obviously, this is a Trundle jungle, and it's going to be played into the Xin Zhao. Trundle stealing the resistances from Leona has been a historic favorite.
I
So,
mean,
yeah.
sitting from resistances from Xin Zhao early on as well. He's not someone you want to be skirmishing with too much.
He
Yeah, I think the
doesn't build
Trundle
up
pick
too
is
many
pretty clear.
resistances, though. The Xin Zhao
Yeah,
doesn't. So I suspect that he's just going to press R on the Leona and then start to ignore it as she gets
yeah,
bursted down by the rest of that team. However, we're missing a little bit of oomph from both teams so far. So
yeah.
there's not really some sort of carry champions, and the solo lanes, all four solo lanes are yet to be decided. And Zed ban, ooh, they do
Zed
not
and the
want him to.
Triss.
They do not want him to play those 80 mids,
No,
which makes
they're
sense, of course, with the Ziggs already
yeah,
locked
true.
in.
You pick the Ziggs, you're gonna look for AD somewhere on the map.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think some really good bands here from Insomnia, and we'll see what Forsaken respond with.
Now, you might be surprised about the Corki ban, as he's not a very common mid laner. However, Team Insomnia's mid laner loves that pick and actually has a disgraceful win rate, as well as on the Kassadin. So, those two bans are once again very specifically targeted towards Team Insomnia's mid laner.
I think that's what
However,
Forsaken have tried to do, though. They've tried to target out certain members on Insomnia's team and just ban out, some of their most played champions, get them off that comfort pick, the Nocturne, the Kayn, and then the Corgi, the Kassadin.
yeah.
Some very targeted bans.
So, the mid laner for Insomnia is now the Rise, and this is his
So,
at the moment,
rise.
this is his favorite mid laner. I see him playing it all the time. So this is zero surprise to me. And it works super well with the setup that Ashe, Nautilus, and Trundle can provide. This is really a comp that loves to fight together and then sort of just have a very solid front to back team fighting. However, the top lane is still yet to be decided. Oh,
The
the Varus
Varus
hover.
response?
The Varus hover might be indicating a Ziggs mid lane here.
Ziggs mid into the rise. I think that's a really good
I think
way
that's a great
to
matchup, yeah.
for Ziggs, especially. Rise, really short range, super abusable for Ziggs. Maybe he can contest like lane prio. It's one of the maybe few champions that can against the Rise in the game.
Yeah.
And the Wukong follow-up pick. What do you think about
Wukong.
that?
Well, Wukong is a top laner that like the Syndras in the mid lane, you sometimes tend to find struggles with finding a counter pick against it because it is such a solid laner. The Jace being one of those. However, I have not seen the top laner for Team Insomnia play the Jace much. So, with the Ornhover here indicating that they're more so looking to neutralize that and
Hmm.
reinforcing what I had said before about the front to back priority that Team Insomnia might want to set for themselves.
There we go. The one is locked in.
Yeah. So, how do
Two
we
strong
feel?
teams.
Yeah, two very strong teams. How do you feel about them matching up against each other?
Well, I think Insomnia has gone for a very standard comp, front to back, two tanks, good scaling, good DPS, good engage with the Nautilus as well. I think NSG Forsaken has gone for a bit more with the Xin and the Wukong, some early skirmishing, trying to get leads that way maybe. But yeah, I think it's going to be a close one. Both teams have some pretty clear win cons, and it's just going to be about how they choose to play the map early on. I think.
What are those win conditions that you're talking about? Can you maybe define them for me?
I think obviously you have a Xin Zhao Wukong, right? They're notoriously both pretty strong in the early levels. That means you got some pretty solid top priority. Maybe Xin Zhao can look for the early Herald, get some early invades, really try and shut Trundle out of the game. And obviously, again, for blue side, they have the Ornn, they have the Rise, they have the Ash. They have a lot of CC and a lot of scaling, especially in the Ornn, the Rise, and the Ash, and the Trundle, to be honest. But yeah, it's your standard front to back team fighting comp. But I think red side with the amount of CC they have, and I'd like to see them maybe not always front to back because they actually have some good pick potential and some good ability to punish Forsaken when they're out of position, and I'd like to see them, try and create leads that way.
Okay. Punishing punishing when they're out of position is always something that really resonates in lower elo comps because you do often find mistakes or find people making mistakes, players making mistakes in going for a ward that they shouldn't. Maybe sometimes prioritizing to shove a lane that they shouldn't. So what we see here will really impact sort of how we see the game being played. And obviously this is the first game and we have so much to look forward to. We have such an interesting type of game, such a unique view that we're going to get on League of Legends that basically no one else has. And I'm just so excited to be part of that. All right, they're currently finishing up the inclined draft, and we're now going to be waiting for 4 minutes as we load up into the game. And in those 4 minutes, we've already started to dissect the comps of both teams a little bit. Um, which lanes do you think have priority on either team?
I'd like to think top lane's gonna have priority. The Wukong into the Ornn. I don't. I can't see Ornn having too much priority up there. He's just gonna do his best to farm, get his item upgrades, and we go from there. I think mid. Early on, I feel like Ziggs can really get a push going. But obviously, as the game goes on, I think that's what Rise does. He EQs the wave, and it's just gone right. So we'll see how that one goes. And I mean, lane similar matchup. It just depends. Whoever can get that first foothold, level 1 to 2, I think is really going to dictate that lane.
How do you see the comp of Team Insomnia bridging the gap into late game then? Because you mentioned the early power that's coming out from this aggressive comp that Team Forsaken has drafted for themselves.
Well, I think Forsaken has an aggressive comp, but look at the level 6 on Team Insomnia, right? You take one wrong step, you got the Ash ult, you got the Nautilus ult, you got the Ornn ult, all of these like non-committal engage tools, which I think is really important and can really catch Team Forsaken out because they don't really have a ton of mobility to get out of those situations. So I'd love to see something happening around bot with the Rise ult and the Trundle around level 6. See if we can push a lead that way at all because I think the engage potential is really strong from Insomnia.
Do
What
you
about
think
you?
do you think that Team Insomnia has a lot of disengage? Because with the Leona and the Zinzao and the Wukong, they obviously all want to dive very deep into that team and really mess up what goes on in the backline on the Ashe and the Rise. Do you think that Team Insomnia has drafted themselves an appropriate amount of PO and disengage?
Well, I think with the amount of CC they have, like especially you got the Nautilus ult, the Ash slows, the Ornal, like all of these are great engage tools.
The pillar.
But the pillar as well. But they're also great disengage tools. Like Ornn gets a 4-man knock up and they run away. Like they're got a really versatile team, I think, from Team Insomnia.
So do you expect Vision to play a big part in how we see these two teams brawl it out?
I think 100% if like Team Insomnia can get to these objectives first and set up vision control and then have NSG Forsaken either walk into them or pick someone off like around an objective, I think that'll be crucial because if Forsaken are allowed to get in and set up vision control, the Xin Zhao, the Leona, the Varus, like they have a lot of like one shot pick potential, single target damage,
I mean,
you
Ziggs
know?
literally sets up a minefield.
Yeah. Like I think if they can get in, they've got really good zone control.
Okay.
But
Well, we see that on Team Insomnia, there's also not a lot of DPS potential. The Ashe can fire quite a few arrows, but there's not really the classic AD carry dream of just one-shotting someone or killing someone in just a few auto attacks. The Rise obviously having great damage potential, but everywhere else the damage is really lacking. So if that Rise falls behind, do you expect to see a lot of resistances just coming out from Team Forsaken, although they haven't drafted the tankiest comp?
I think not drafting a super tanky comp is kind of good in a way for them because you also look at Insomnia. Again, they don't have the most mobile comp, especially those two carries at the back with the Ashe and the Rise. So they're gonna have damage threats coming at you from all sides, and I'd love to see how the Rise and the Ashe can handle that.
Damage threats from all sides is really that once again goes to reiterate the point that we had been talking about just a second ago about the vision. Because if the Ashe and the Rise show themselves on vision, there are very creative flank tools that NSF can utilize in order to try to pick these carries off when they're not just freely disengaging in a front to back team fight. We've mentioned how good the front to backing is for Team Insomnia, but NSF has a little bit more X factor, a little bit more creativity that can really resonate with some of the things that might go on inside this game.
I
And they
agree.
have the
I think
priority to make these things happen. Because you said, oh, Team Insomnia has a lot of pick potential, but do they have the freedom to get out of the lanes in order to utilize their pick potential?
that's all going to come down to the individual players, right? But yes, I think 100% if they can just create a small lead or small windows for themselves to set up vision to go looking and go hunting for these picks, I think it's going to be a very difficult game for Red Side here today.
All right, as we have loaded into the game, I'm going to be pressing my magical buttons. And we have already a beautifully arranged scoreboard as the teams were so kind to get into proper ordering. Well,
Flex.
we are inside the first game. Let's get SLE on the way. Opening tournament. This is going to determine the seeding for the two divisions. What can the two teams show us today? What can they bring to the Rift? And where will
Oh,
we end?
it's looking like a party in the bot lane from the get-go. Five from
Oh,
red, five from blue.
Dodum,
Let's see how this
dodum.
goes.
A beautiful little pathing here, but they're walking straight into the 5 stack. Nautilus taking the
Oh,
brunt
here
of
we
the
go.
damage and already going down to the Varus. Now the Orin also dropping in HP as the Ashe cleanses nothing. Flash forward from the Leona, flash backwards from the Ashe will lead to no further kills, but already first blood going over to the side of NSF.
It looks like NSF have done their homework, and they saw the invade coming. It's as simple as that. I don't think there was much Nautilus could do, and yeah, it was just very well
Oh.
played from the blue
Look
side
at the
here.
Varus items. He started with a longsword. Wait, why is he not buying a second longsword? He has 400 gold. Buy an item.
Uh, well,
He didn't buy a second longsword. Okay, well, that's a bit of an oversight on his part. Unfortunate, still, he does have that gold in his pocket. Interestingly enough, is
XP
the
lead as well.
start. Let's talk about the jungle starts, though. Both jungles have opted to now start topside, getting a leash from their top laner.
Well, I think in Trundle's case, he's done it because Ornn probably isn't gonna have prio for that Scuttle Crab anyway, so maybe he's pathing down for that bot side Scuttle. Maybe Xin looking for a fight, gonna match him, but I mean we'll see what happens. Now, do you expect both junglers to be full clearing? What would you like to see from these two?
Well, it's Xin Zhao. You obviously want to get out of the jungle with Xin Zhao. But
True.
starting topside means that he does not have the red buff available to him early. So he will probably do more of a full clear at the moment, just to get on the way. They've already secured that first blood, so there's less urgency on actually getting that stuff down. Ooh, and a good trade
Trade in the
already
top
by the
lane.
Wukong. It's looking rough up there for the Ornn already.
I mean, I just pray he can survive it. But this is what you expect from this lane, right? Wukong is just he's gonna have full lane prio. This is why I'm assuming the Trundle decided to path away from this lane. He doesn't expect much from it early on.
Very interesting that the Xin Zhao then did not path into it. I mentioned before that starting with the red buff also gives you a lot of agency early on. You can go for those level 2 ganks. You can go for those 3 camp ganks. But instead he's deciding to full clear from topside down towards the bot lane. And the bot lane obviously having a lot of volatility, as we said before, with the Varus and the Leona offering a huge amount of burst damage, a lot of trading in mid
Big
lane
trade
as
in
the
the mid.
Rise.
The
Oh,
Leona,
and
yeah,
Leona goes in onto the Ashe. Now the Xin
no
Zhao is
plan.
here as well. Ashe is already dead to the wolves and will be given over to the Varus, who picks up his second kill. At this current point in time, the Nautilus also flashes away, but the Xin Zhao does manage to pick up the second kill of the fight and the third kill for NSG Forsaken. Now, we talked about the Xin Zhao pathing being a little bit sussy, but it does
Worked
pay
for
out
him.
in the end. He also starts up the scuttle, but Trundle is here to answer it. Both of them, no, only the Trundle has the smite available, but the priority from the bot lane means that the Xin Zhao will be able to secure at least the bottom scuttle. Now Trundle has to hurry up into the top side in order to try to at least secure the second scuttle. But he does not take the direct pathing, which means that Leona and Xin Zhao have at the moment teamed up to try to secure the second scuttle already. Support already using the priority that they have achieved in bot lane. As there is a solo bolo up in top, Wukong already finds the first kill onto the Ornn. Now this is getting really dicey here for Team Insomnia.
This is the snowball we were afraid of. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. I think as long as red side they can weather the storm, I think they can come out all right. But it's looking a little dicey for them here in this early game.
We said scaling early, but scaling, well, we didn't say scaling early. Scaling earlier is what we said. Scaling means that you're going to fall behind in the early game in a lot of cases. So it's already starting to unfold. However, can NSG Forsaken keep pushing the advantage? In 4 kills, they had picked up 4 minutes. They had picked up 4 kills. So pushing the advantage is currently on their menu.
Bot lane looking a little bit exposed here. Maybe a Xin Zhao gank is possible. We know the Ashe doesn't have flash.
Oh, and the Ziggs also already building up a bit of a CS lead in mid lane. It's going pretty dire in every single one of the lanes. Varus is not actually going for the lethality build as Leona flashes forward onto the Ashe. Ashe gets stunned up once again. Xin Zhao down here once more means the 5th kill and the 3rd kill for the Varus. Now can he get a 4th one? Yes, he can. My goodness, the Varus is truly snowballing. And the Xin Zhao is paying dividends.
What do you think of this Varus build path, by the way? What do you think he's building into here? It's not your standard lethality Varus build, I don't think.
No, this must be a Kraken Varus, as Xin Zhao is now opting for the fight in mid lane. The Super Mega... No, not Super Mega, but the Death Bomb. What is the Ziggs called? Mega Inferno Bomb. Alright. The Mega Inferno Bomb whiffing, and that's not leading to a kill in that mid lane. Not the best amount of coordination coming out from mid jungle here, but still nicely forcing the Rise to back away, which does give over priority for the Dragon. As Trundle actually tries to contest it here. He does have his smite available, but just goes down to the Vars, who's now fighting off the Nautilus and Ashe as well. And it's just going from bad to worse here.
I really like the link-up play between Luchesco and ARV this game. I think from level 1, the Xin Zhao, he's been coming bot, gets priority. Luchesco is ready to just get those engages for him so he can follow them up. And then with that priority, they roam together, and they take the objective. And it's really difficult for the enemy team, especially the Trundle, to try and contest.
Oh, do we see another solo kill up in top? As I have to interrupt you because this Wukong just gets another solo kill on the Ornn. Oh no.
Ornn just getting a little bit greedy, getting a little caught a little bit far up the lane.
This is an R5 Ornn, and Loris is just dominating him with the Wukong blind pick. Domination across the board is what we see, and the gold lead is already above 4K before 8 minutes.
I mean, it's a dire situation at the moment for them, but again, they have the scaling. I think that's important to note, but we'll see what happens. I think the level 6 for the bot lane is going to be a super large turning point, an opportunity to maybe claw themselves back into the game.
And maybe the last of those turning points as Trundle tries to find a bit of a gank down in mid lane, puts the pillar down. Ziggs still having his W available means that he's totally safe. Didn't even use it.
Maybe a dive
threatened in bot lane. Varus flashes forward and lands the Chains of Corruptions onto that Ashe, but there's no further follow-up as the Nautilus and the Trundle are now rotating down. Ryze using the Realm Whoop, and now the bot lane from NSF is actually caught out. They try to turn it onto the Ashe. They find the first kill. Ryze flashing over the wall here. Now they're trying to kite back. There is no help available, but Wukong does have TP. Can he free himself? Trundle flashes forward, lands a pillar onto the Varus, which does knock him back and slow him. Now Leona is trying to frontline. Mega Inferno Bomb dealing a lot of damage onto the Ryze as they try to now turn it. Nautilus dropping in HP, but can they find the kill? Here's Ziggs to finally try to clean it up, but the 2 kills do just go over to Team Insomnia.
What a great Ryze ult. Hits 6, waits for the enemy team to overextend, ults straight in to clean up afterwards. But yeah, I think this is what the red team need to get themselves back into this game. These are the kind of plays that Ryze needs to be making to make sure his team can stay in the game.
Well, you talked about the pick potential that they have, and I talked about the missteps that some of them may make, and that flash forward by the Varus is heavily punished. They do actually get a kill in the end onto the Ashe, which is surprising and unfortunate, to say the least. But those 2 kills do just go a very long way for the situations that Team Insomnia had found themselves in prior. They're freezing the wave down there in the bot lane at the moment as top lane is looking for a shove. And they do that because the Xin Zhao might actually look for the dive onto the Ornn because he does have the Rift Herald available. Wind becomes lightning, does land on Chippy here. Herald goes down. The Ornn calls the horn as he's knocked back, and now they're starting the dive. Wukong tanking the turret first as Xin Zhao flashes after the Ornn, looks for the kill, but the turret does a lot of damage. He will go down, and a 1-for-1 is traded. This is the classic Ornn moment. The tank assassin melee bruiser does find that return kill.
So how do you think they played that dive? Personally, I think maybe the Herald went down a little bit early. They underestimated.
I think we have to talk about the Leona flashing forward onto the Trundle and then being knocked away by the Ziggs. Ignite ticks down as the Solar Flare comes down, and that does secure the kill by Luchesco.
Sniped him.
Varus actually having a lot of kill pressure on these 2. If he goes for that Chain of Corruption, maybe he finds the 2v1 double kill. Leona has made her way actually back towards that bot side. So even more danger.
We were talking about an explosive game. It's there's just constant fighting everywhere. That's what I like to see, though.
Well, look at what the Varus has purchased for himself here. With all that gold, he's already managed to pick himself up the Kraken Slayer. We were wondering what he was going to build, and we were thinking that it was going to go into this direction. Now, this does actually mean that there is a lot more scaling coming out from that pick, and especially on 3 tanks. This Kraken Slayer adaptation of the Varus is brilliant. More trading up towards the top side as blue side bot lane for NSF now takes priority of the river, clearing out the control ward that was sitting in the bush and setting up for the dragon that has just respawned. More priority on the dragon as they do start it up. There is no one even close from Team Insomnia to contest. Yes, the Ashe Hawkshot does spot it, but it is what it is. Second of dragon of the game does go over to...
Trundle trying to pick up the pieces, sees him on dragon, goes straight into his top jungle.
Well, Leona is trying to pick up the Nautilus though as she comes from behind the turret. Solar Flare not even being necessary as Tavares just picks up his 6th kill of the game. Ay ay ay.
I mean, this is just Xin Zhao's bot again. They just have so much CC in the bot lane and so much engage. Doesn't matter at this point in the game whether they go on Nautilus or Ashe, they're gonna die.
Yeah, and there's actually a very nice amount of creativity that we see coming out from Lucesco. Really sort of the shining star of this match so far. His linking up with the Xin Zhao, as you said earlier, with Arvid has been absolutely stellar. And then these cheeky engages that he keeps on finding to get priority in every single lane. His kill participation also being pretty good so far, not being able to do much about those darn top solo kills.
I mean, I think you're right, 100%. Lucesco is really... He's making their team tick at the moment. Him alongside ARV, I think between the two of them, they're really starting to take over this early game.
Well, now Arvid has made his way up towards that top side, trying to set up for a bit of a cheeky lane gang here. But Orin never really accepting that bait so far. He does use his W here, and then has to E out. That
Setting up
searing
for the
charge
dive,
being...
potentially?
Well, another dive up towards the top side. Orin, with that ultimate spellbook, has picked himself up the heel. Ult not being up for the Xin Zhao, so the Crescent Strike, Crescent Sweep, is up just now as the recall finishes. Now Lucesco sitting on a ward, as Ryze has made his way down towards the river after securing a bit of mid-priority. Meanwhile, the Ziggs is actually looking for that blue buff.
I'd like to see Ryze get his team's blue buff as well to match. Otherwise, it's going to be really hard for him to really contest that lane. And at the moment, it's looking like he's the one with the gold. He's the man with the plan. He's the one who's got to make it happen.
Well, we see Team Insomnia setting up around him as that blue buff does respawn. If we take a quick look at the gold and the distribution of it, the Trundle and the Ryze are the only ones that are sort of still keeping up, with the Trundle even having secured himself a tiny lead as he does flash forward onto the Ziggs, but he does use the satchel charge in order to try to escape. Then he follows it up with the flash and the Mega Inferno Bomb, and he finds the 1v3 outplay, possibly even the second kill. Oh my goodness, this is so close. Oh, the bouncing bob not quite connecting onto the...
A little bit overzealous from the Trundle there, but
well, the Xin Zhao is here. Does he find the Wind Becomes Lightning onto the Ryze, who does try to use the Realm Warp away? No, the Nautilus will just fall, but Lucesco is here to clean it up time and again, and he takes the kill. Chain of Corruption now missing down towards the bot side as the Crystal Arrow does actually connect, but the Varus is just so unbelievably far ahead that he just picks up that kill easily as the Ashe comes back into the lane. Now they're also looking for the turret here. As
First Blood Tower. Oh, no. First Blood Tower goes mid.
both turrets going down at the same time. Wow. Alright then. Well, they're starting to really snowball. Look at the gold lead in total. 8,000 at 15 minutes.
Is there a way back into it for red side here this game?
That is what I'm asking you as they find the Nautilus just wandering forward for a ward that is so inconsequential and even misplaced. Now the Mega Inferno Bomb finds the Ryze. I didn't even spot the Ryze, but they did. They sure did. And they're not going to let him live here.
Ryze TP'd in, by the way, there, I'm pretty sure.
Ooh, that's rough. He must have seen the Nautilus go down as there's just going to be another solo kill up on top. He's going to try to... What is he going to try to do? Maybe deal a bit of damage. Third solo kill here for Loris on that Wukong. Trundle doing anything to try to keep them in the game.
Trying to pick up the pieces for his team.
Yeah. Well, they do manage to secure that Rift Herald, which is something. But a 16-minute Rift Herald? Ay, ay, ay.
Can we take a moment to talk about the vision both teams have as well?
Talk to me then. What is the vision?
Blue side really, really playing around these objectives super well. You look at bot side river, they got 2 pinks there. Red side is forced to defensively ward, and I mean, we saw what happened. Blue side had full control of bot jungle.
Ooh,
Bot
look at
was-
this.
oh,
Luchescu once again finds himself behind the Team Insomnia bot lane, and this time he has brought his Varus in Upea. He finds the first kill onto the Nautilus. Chain of Corruption still up as the Crystal Arrow does stun him up for a little bit, but there is no getting away here. There's a Mega Inferno Bomb as a celebratory gift to that.
Leona doesn't even need her ultimate for that one.
Neither does Varus. Neither does the Varus. Wow, this is
Gonna be a free dragon take.
maybe a bit of a wake-up call to Team Insomnia here. Maybe they can go back and look at how did this game fall apart so quickly. We talked about the draft priorities and how early game focused NSF's teams have been so far. So maybe they can go back and look at the drawing board and sort of reevaluate their priorities.
And you're Team Insomnia in this game, right? You're
Oh.
thinking, look,
Luchescu finds the Rise here, who does flash away.
flashes out.
But the Ziggs is here for the follow-up.
Yeah.
Trundle now trying to defend it and actually stealing away the resistances from the Leona. My goodness. What was that
It's good
last tick
punish.
damage? That was great.
But yeah, you're Team Insomnia this game, right? You're 10k gold down. What are you saying to your team? Like, how do you look to try and get back into this game?
I think this game might be a little bit over. 10k before 20 minutes? This is looking super dire. But what you can do is you can sort of try to go over your comms, try to understand this is how we want to place vision, this is our usual win conditions, and this is how we find picks as a team. This is how we can set up and look to the future of the tournament. Because SLE is not a sprint, it's a marathon. There's going to be a lot of games, and these teams may meet in the future again. So, what can you learn from this game about your enemy, about yourself mostly? And how can you look to secure advantages, as another advantage might be secured here for NSF as they find the Rise trying to realm move away. Luchescu being absolutely
Pesto
everywhere.
again. He's a man on a mission. Like he's going in. He's got his team behind him, or enough of his team behind him. They just blow the Rise up. Like enemy Trundle, he can sit and watch, but that's about it.
Well, he's trying to secure vision at the moment, and if you see them sort of pushing their vision advantage further forward. Now there are still a couple of red wards behind them, as there's a lot of pressure onto the Ziggs once again, who does flash away, and the Nautilus ult will also land on the Varus. Horn trying to follow up as the heal is utilized, but the Varus will die for the second time. And now the Ziggs is in a pretty dire spot as well. He does find himself a kill onto the Nautilus. Satchel charge over the wall. Is anyone here to help him? No TP coming in from Effort or Loris, but he is trying to utilize the TP to get out, and
He's out.
he's out. He
My
TPs away. The
goodness.
Satchel charge giving it away. And then Luchescu once again looking for the dive as Loris looks to secure the turret first. Now the Cyclone does come in from the Wukong, and that's just 2 kills. Once again, a celebratory head as the Mega Inferno Bomb does drop.
I mean, I think that's the first time we've really seen Team Insomnia sync up and get a coordinated engage in the mid lane. I think that's something really important to take away from this game for them, because they're not gonna win this game by taking the 2v2s in side lane here. They've just demonstrated that. But like when they get the Nautilus ult into the Ornn ult, there really is nothing the enemy team can do about it. But yeah, I think it's a bit of a consolation prize for them at this point, but it's still a good point for them to take home.
Well, they will want to take home whatever they can get in this case. This is not just, as I said, SLE is not a sprint, it's a marathon. You try to learn, you try to adapt. This is where we're all here. We want to try to learn, and we want to try to get better. And this is certainly something that you can go and look back on. Look back at, okay, how did they figure out our level 1 strategy? How were they so on point with that? And how can we look to maybe utilize what we learned from them in our future games?
Insomnia are really looking to fight for Vision here. They really do not want to give up Vision around this Baron, but and they're just gonna start it here.
Yeah, 21-minute Baron start. It feels like we've been in the game for a little bit longer, as we've
I
already seen
mean,
25 kills coming out from NSF. But this Baron looks pretty free. Trundle does not have the flash available, as a Hex flash is channeled behind the pit from the Nautilus, but he will not look to actually take that. Dredge line also going wide, and so everyone just walks away, and NSF will be richer of the Baron.
yeah, I mean NSF just saying, hey, we have more money than you. Come and fight us, or give up the objective for free. I mean, I think it's on them at this moment to throw the game as opposed to the other way around.
Well, it looks
But
pretty difficult as they are setting up for the dragon. So, oh my goodness, Luchesco, what are you doing to them? You can't do this. They want to keep playing. That was a disgraceful solar flare that finds both of the carries of Team Insomnia, and now they are just running for the hills. The Ash is still available, but for how much long? He does actually land that last W, and so he will probably get away from the Xin Zhao. But
what does
my
Insomnia think they're
goodness.
doing there? Like, I don't know what they expected to happen. Maybe they thought that the other team based, which is, it's fine. But with the Drake coming up, I don't think you can ever contest mid tower and not expect to get engaged on like that. I think it's just a bit of an oversight there from Team Insomnia. But a
Wow.
great punish, nonetheless.
They were probably looking for mid priority as they were securing the dragon soul, but NSG Forsaken does not care about a Cloud Dragon Soul, and why would they?
Are they gonna look for an end here?
They may just look for an end here, as you're saying. Well, Xin Zhao is pushing in that top wave.
Oh, they're gonna rotate the top, yeah.
How many minions do they have coming in? Because this looks like a three-fold strike, as the mid wave is also dropping in at just the perfect time. And with the Baron buff, this inhib might be the third one to go down here in the stroke of just a single minute.
But look at all the ultis up as well. Like, if they can, I think they can dive this.
Well, the Nautilus
There
already
we go.
dropping super low, and the Mega Inferno Bomb, this time putting the hat actually on top of Team Insomnia. Ornhorn comes out as they do put the Xin Zhao into his GA. They find the kill onto Luchesco, but it's the only kill of the fight, and only their sixth kill of the game, as NSG Forsaken have put a statement down here.
Yeah, I mean,
Real statement.
game one, they turn around, they tell everyone in the league, "Hey guys, we're here to compete. Come get us." That was an extremely strong performance from them.
My goodness. Well, that was actually the first game of SLE, of the season, of the split, and of this opening tournament. We're saying it, NSG Forsaken looking unbelievably clean. And we'll see how the team tournament continues for them. They were coming in as a little bit of a favorite, and it's interesting to see their draft priorities. It's interesting to see the draft priorities in general. So, we will see what we have in the future. The next game will be in about 2 hours from now, as we have... In SOE, we have a very open schedule, so we want to allow the teams to play whenever it is possible for them to play. We will try to accommodate that by filling in gaps by watching older games and gaps that we do have available. However, for our opening tournament, that is not quite the case yet. So that will mean that we will be taking a 2-hour break, and then we will return with 4 more games for tonight's evening. I'm so excited. This was the first game. I'm so happy to have you here, Brady. I'm happy to be here. Let's see what the future holds for us.
Game one coming out with a banger, but yeah, I'm super excited for the rest of the day. I hope you guys are too. And yeah, see you guys in 2 hours.
See you guys in 2 hours.